I see the second line in the song. It says, "I'm warning you,
Don't
find your
come.
own man."
No,
And then I
she
look
said,
at,
I'm warning you, don't come for my man.
and then I look at, I was looking at Dolly Parton's version, and she's like, "Please don't take my man." Yeah, there's a strong difference there. And,
Yeah,
and yeah, I mean, I know she got cheated on, all, but Beyonce seems like the one women would say, "Don't take my man" too.
right.
If that makes any sense. Not the one. I guess anybody could be a victim, but
And because
yeah,
Dolly is gorgeous, so for her to be singing this
she was.
song,
Yeah,
not
for
to
sure.
be a victim. But I was like, I don't see, even though anybody could be a victim, I didn't see Beyonce
Yeah,
singing.
no, for sure.
She did not. She was like, don't come for my man. You don't want this smoke. You don't want this heat. I'm warning you. And she was like, we built a family. I basically raised this man. Leave my man alone. And she was like, and I'm telling you so I don't have to act a fool. Like this is a warning. That's basically what she's saying to her.
Hi, welcome to R&B Convos, relationship and breakup conversations. If you'd like the opinions of a certified relationship coach and author, Trevor Scott, and a licensed clinical psychologist, Dr. Jazz, join us where we discuss our love of music and help you navigate everything relationship related. If you like our video, don't forget to like our video and subscribe.
That's the smile the kids do for their school pictures. Like, why did you smile like that? That's not even how you
I heard it say being recorded, so I was like, oh shit,
I know why you smile like that. I'm saying that's what you say to the kid when they come home with the pictures. Like, why did you smile like that?
People make sense, like, get your camera ready.
What made you do that?
So, what's up, Dr. Jazz?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm great. I'm better than good. How are you?
I'm good too.
I'm looking up my lyrics. Like I said, I got my lyrics getting ready.
I'll help you out too.
Okay. I'm gonna catch up though. I like Beyonce. I just kind of fell behind a lot going on the last couple of months, but I'm gonna catch up on her album. I'm not in the hive, but I'm definitely a fan of Beyonce. I like her as a performer. I think she's one of the Michael Jacksons of our generation. So I give her her flowers for sure. People hate, they were like, oh yeah, this person sings better, all that. But yeah, she's that girl. She's her. And on the side note, I saw The Wiz this weekend, and I'm listening to this wicked witch, one of the witches from The Wiz singing. I'm like, yo, she could go in. She's going in.
Yeah, in the plays, they pick people that can sing. It's a music.
No, my wife was like, "That's Deborah Cox." I'm like, "Yeah." This whole time, I'm sitting there thinking, like, "Who is this woman?" And I couldn't see it. It's like it's Deborah Cox. I'm like, "Oh yeah, of course she can sing. It's Deborah Cox." I wish I had known that going in.
Musical, so they pick singers every time too for that.
They do pick singers, but I mean, it's Deborah Cox though. Sometimes there's a singer that I may not know, but we grew up in the '90s, so yeah, I know who Deborah Cox is. Like she's a voice, like a real voice.
Well, for The Wiz, they usually pick a big voices specifically.
Okay. Yeah, I see that. I mean, there were some other big voices, but I didn't know them necessarily. Some might have been from a singing show that aired on TV. I don't know. Wayne Brady was in the show as well, but he's not like a singer.
Yeah, you don't know him as a singer. He actually can sing.
Yeah, he can sing. He ain't Deborah Cox though.
No.
And I forgot the lady who played Dorothy, but I admire her. She sang. That's a lot of singing. There's a lot of singing, and you can't hide behind, music. Yeah. You can't hide behind the music. You're live. You got to figure that out.
Yeah, she still has her voice.
But Deborah Cox I'm a fan of Deborah Cox. I thought she fell off. I was like, I didn't know she was still doing anything. And my wife was like,
her singing for something else.
Say it again.
I saw her singing for something else. I think if you maintain your voice, you can still do. You might not be as commercial
new albums
out there in the media as much, But
Right.
just like Maya still does her show, Ashanti still's out there performing, like performers from years
Yeah,
ago,
no, for
they
sure.
still
No,
go
for sure.
around performing if they still have their voice.
If you have a decent catalog, and it ain't even got to be an extensive catalog, you can still make money. I see that all the time. I've gone to smaller shows.
In concerts. You say you what?
I've gone to smaller shows from artists that I liked from back in the day. I didn't go to this person's show, but I give an example like John B. John B didn't have a whole bunch of albums, but he can still make some money. Somebody's gonna go pay to see him sing. So I understand that concept.
He is still singing.
Yeah, he's still singing for sure. So what song we gonna talk about today? R&B.
Well, I think like it's better to explain the kind of concept of the album, and then we can talk about the songs, like especially the particular songs. But like
Okay.
it's a country album. What she said is a Beyoncé album. It's not a country album. It's a Beyoncé album, but it's a country album. And you know how it came about, her doing the country album.
No, I thought the album was a country album. Like
It is a country album, but when people were trying to be like, it's not a country album, because
okay, I got you.
People trying to reject. This is probably like part of why I like the album. I like the album from different reasons. One is Beyonce, and she kills everything, and then still like exceeds expectations the next time. So even though she killed it last time, the next time is going to be even better in a different way or whatever, and it's always different. And so. Okay. She made this album because, or she might have wanted to make it anyway, but I think they kind of put a fire under her. On Lemonade, she had a song called Daddy Lessons, and she's done country kind of ish sounding music before because she's from the South, but she did a song called Daddy Lessons, and she performed it at the Country Music Awards with the Dixie Chicks, or they're now known as the Chicks. They took off Dixie because of what it means. Like trying to get rid of that, like, Confederate flag type of stuff. So they took off Dixie Chicks. So she performed with them at the Country Music Awards, killed it. They killed it. The country music people, or people that think they own country music, rejected her. Like they weren't welcoming. They got online. They started like blasting the internet, saying negative things, to the point where Country Music Awards took the performance off their stream, off their website. So then other people got upset, like, why'd you take her performance off? Because people were saying racist, like crazy things.
Yeah, I was about to say, I could see that happening.
Right. So she said she didn't feel welcomed or whatever. She went and created. So then she's like, you can't tell me like that I can't sing country music. And they tried to project it as a country song, which it was clearly a country song. And so for me, it's like, you're telling people who own that music, or that music belongs to them, that they can't sing music that belongs to them. Like Black people, if they didn't create country music on their own, they co-created it. At minimum, they co-created it. So to try to say that she's not country, she can't sing country music, and she's from Texas and her parents are from the South too, is like crazy. So she didn't care for that. So she created this album. This album was created before Renaissance. So there was Lemonade. She did Black is King, which was the Lion King related album. And then she did, which was like more her, African roots. And then she did, she put out Renaissance, but she actually created this before Renaissance. And I think that's important because in Lemonade, that's where she was singing about the infidelity. And you go from Lemonade to Renaissance, where it's like party music. Because of COVID, she was like, she wanted to put out like feel good dance music. So she put out Renaissance. And Beyonce is like a super lover girl, like type of singer. And in Renaissance, it's a lot of like love songs, but it's no mention anymore of the infidelity. And that was interesting to me, because like usually don't go from feeling like that to lovey-dovey. But what's interesting to me is because she created Cowboy Carter actually before Renaissance, you kind of hear in the songs for Cowboy Carter that like in between of when somebody cheats on you versus like trying to come back together or heal, and then to Renaissance where you hear her just as a pure like she's still very much a lover girl in this album, but you can kind of hear some of those themes in the song of like her saying things of them needing to heal, her stuff like that in the album. So it's got like music that sounds purely country, and then it's got country infused music. So it's like country infused with pop or rock or R&B or hip hop, but it's definitely a country album. Like it's a lot of songs on there that you can only hear as country music. And then so you have people who are like, if it wasn't for like the twang or like her lyrics or her accent, or where you go, you went somewhere.
I'm still here. I'm just fixing my camera.
Oh, okay. if it wasn't for like her singing with a twang, the lyrics, the melody, the instrumentation, then it wouldn't be country music. It's like, but you could say that about any music. If you take away the way the accent in which someone sings, the vocabulary, the melody in which they sing, and the instrumentation, it could be any kind of music. So that's what makes the music, is all of those things. So people arguing that if those things weren't there, it wouldn't be country music. It's like, if those things weren't there, wouldn't be any kind of music. That's what music is. It's like what kind of phrases or lyrics you use, the rhythm in which you do it, the instrumentation in which you use. So she has like country sounding songs that are about different things. She has country infused songs, and then she even dabbles a little bit, like, you know, blues is part of country music, kind of stems from the blues, but she has like a gospel sounding song at the end that ties back to the beginning. And she also has another song that's not really country, but it's like soul, funk, and she has another funk. She has two funk sounding songs. She has one song called Yaya that's like 1960s Southern California, like mixed with like soul and funk type of music. So it's like a diverse mix of country and other stuff. And I think that if your music taste or interest is not diverse, then you probably won't really love the album. But if it is, then you'll really love the album. Like some people I know that mostly listen to rap and R&B, they only like certain songs. But the people that I know that listen to different styles of music, they like the album. So that's interesting to me. But there's things like healing with your lover. There's things like stay away from my man. There's themes like very much like how they do the Bonnie and Clyde type, you know, on the run tour type stuff, is those kind of themes in the songs as well. So the song that I was telling you to listen to first, like that was gonna get your point of view, was what'd you say?
Let me get my lyrics.
So then in the initial Jolene, Jolene is Dolly Parton's song. Dolly Parton kept putting it out there, even in interviews, that she wanted Beyonce to redo this song. You know, like Whitney did Bodyguard. I mean, he was called Bodyguard. I Will Always Love You was the song.
Mm-hmm. That was Dolly Parton's song? Dolly
Parton's song. And Dolly Parton took the money that was made from Whitney's version, and I think she built this housing for low income, like I think families.
I did hear that.
And she wanted, and so Dolly Parton keeps the credits to her music. So when Beyonce re-sings it, even though she remixes it kind of and changes the words, it's still Dolly Parton's song. And so Dolly Parton's version is begging Jolene, please don't take my man. Like, I know you're so beautiful. I know you can have anybody you want, but please just don't take my man. That's Dolly Parton's version. So when I heard that Beyonce was going to be singing Jolene, I'm like, how is this going to go? Because I couldn't picture Beyonce saying to somebody, please don't take my man. And she is not. She is more like, Jolene, fuck around and find out. Yeah. Like if you
yeah, I see the second line in the song. It says, I'm warning you, find your own man. No, and then I look at,
I'm warning you, don't come for my man.
And then I look at I was looking at Dolly Parton's version, and she's like, "Please don't take my man." Yeah, there's a strong difference there,
Yeah,
and yeah, I mean, I know she got cheated on and all, but Beyonce seems like the one women would say, "Don't take my man" too.
right.
If that makes any sense. Not the one. I guess anybody could be a victim, right? But
And because
yeah,
Dolly is gorgeous, so for her to be singing this
she
song,
was. Yeah,
I
for
can't
sure.
be a victim. But I was like, I don't see, even though anybody could be a victim, I didn't see Beyonce
Yeah,
singing.
no, for sure.
She did not. She was like, "Don't come for my man. You don't want this smoke. You don't want this heat. I'm warning you." And she was like, we built a family. I basically raised this man. Leave my man alone. And she was like, and I'm telling you so I don't have to act a fool. Like this is a warning. That's basically what she's saying to her.
Now you said this she wrote this song around the time of Lemonade. Is that
What
what you
I'm
were saying?
saying is, no, she wrote this. I think what I read was she wrote this like 5 years ago. But what I'm saying is this is the album after Lemonade. There was the Black is King
I
album,
got
but
you. Yeah, yeah.
Renaissance was, my point was, Renaissance was after this. She had this before she put Renaissance out.
I understand that because this is still tied to the whole Lemonade experience.
Right. It's
Yeah.
and it's very much, she talks about like healing in certain ways, but this song is just towards the other woman. Like, or it's not the other woman. She's saying you're not going to become the other woman either.
Now when Dolly Parton is singing her version, um, I looked at the lyrics earlier for Dolly. I confused them. I thought they were the same thing, but is Dolly Parton speaking to Jolene as someone that already slept with her man?
No, she's saying don't, like, you could take him, but please don't. Like she's saying, I
That's
already
some
know.
shit.
Now I already know what you could do. Please, just please don't do it to me.
But I mean, that's some real insecure stuff right there. Like, you don't have any evidence that just
I
because she
think she
fine.
knows Jolene's man is into her. I
Okay.
don't, yeah. I think that's an insecure position to be put in, period. Like if you're not going to like the person, but if it's that's the topic really, is like people will say things like, I'm not fighting over a man, right?
Right.
Or I'm not, saying anything to the other woman.
Right.
I don't know how. I think some people will take that stance. I think when you develop and you grow and you build, it's hard to just allow someone to try to interrupt that, even if they did have an attraction. But it's for Beyonce in her song, she's not indicating that her man has an attraction to Jolene. It's more like, Jolene, I see what you're doing. You're trying to him, but he's not interested. Leave us alone. And Jolene, in Dolly Parton's version, it sounds like her man might be interested. And so she's saying, even if he is interested, please just leave him alone. Don't take him from me.
So here's one thing that just crossed my mind. It's just, as far as Beyonce goes, I know Beyonce's character, at least the character that she displays publicly. I would see her singing Dolly Parton's version in a way, because if Jay went somewhere else, there's kind of this threatening feeling that, hey, like you might have some power there, so please stay away. Like, don't do it. Like, if you were powerful enough to get him away from me once, type of thing, it's like, stay away. But
I don't see
again,
her. I don't see her begging or asking no woman to leave him
no,
alone.
I know
I
her
do see
character
her
doesn't seem
threatening somebody like, you better leave her. I don't see her
I can
based
see that.
on Lemonade and the way she was telling him off and telling the
Yeah,
girl. I don't think she's the
from the
type.
third
Like,
board and all that. I got it.
yeah.
No,
Did you,
but you see what I'm saying though? It's kind of like,
listen to the poem? I forget whose poem that is, where she's like, I'll wear her teeth, I'll wear her skin, I'll take her spine and make it into a cane, since that's what you like, and I'll take a picture with, like, it's in Lemonade. She's like, I will F you both up. Like, it's not a like, please don't leave me
no, it's
type.
not.
She has this sorrowful song like, I hope you catch me listening, where she's like, I know, that's like, yeah, but I don't see her putting out a song where she's like, please just leave him alone. I don't see that.
No, I understand that. I understand that. So So you basically saying Dolly Parton's a punk
I'm
and
saying that
Beyonce's
depending
a
on who
thug.
you are personality wise or what the situation is, I can understand both. Like I
You're
think
more Beyonce than Dolly Parton.
I'm more Beyonce than Dolly
Yeah,
Parton.
no,
I'm
yeah,
not. Yeah,
I know.
if she can take you, then I guess bye. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I would probably be more on Beyonce's side. I don't know. The thing about it is, like I said, people will say like, I'm not going to fight or argue over a man. I don't know if that's the case. If it's your husband, if you have children with this person, if you built
That's different.
empire with this person, would you not approach someone who you feel is trying to interfere with that? I think that's different if he's cheating, right? But if the way she's singing it sounds like someone that's trying to tempt him to do something, not that he's with her and she's saying, you better leave him alone and putting it on the woman. In this version of Jolene, it sounds like, in Beyonce's version, it sounds like Jolene is trying to tempt him and she's saying, go somewhere else with that. Don't bring that over here.
There's something there though, because if it's an ugly chick and she's hollering at your guy, you might not even say anything because it's not there's no threat of infidelity.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming in a woman's mind, but in this particular case, the fact that Beyonce feels that she has to address this woman, there's a little bit of an insecurity there. It
Might
has
be.
to.
She says some similar things that the original version has, which is like, you're beautiful, like
Yeah.
one of the most beautiful women, but she's like, but I'm a woman too. Don't try it.
No, but
Like,
I feel like she feels like she has to defend it because
yeah,
there's a strong chance. Because if it was let me not say anything direct. If
someone
there's
that's
some
threatened by or doesn't see that doesn't think it's gonna happen at all, or that it
right,
could happen. Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, yeah. So I want to see Jolene though, because Beyonce is bad. I kind of I want to see what Jolene look.
I
If
think people want
Beyonce threatened, I
right.
want to
I
see what
think people
Jolene
wanted to
looks
see what Becky with the good hair was also. So
like. Yeah, I don't know. That's weird too because I know you always often hear that people oftentimes sometimes people cheat with people that are less attractive sometimes, and you're like, well, why'd you do that? And so that whole, I guess Becky with the good hair, I'd be interested to see what she looked like, because Jay-Z probably has options, so was
yeah.
she was she was it really was it just the idea of him cheating that caused Beyonce to have the emotions that were in Lemonade, or was it the idea of him cheating with a woman that was superior on her level that
Probably not, because
elevated that
nobody's
anger?
on her level if you think about it. Not
Say that
you're
again?
talking about physical. If you're just talking about physicality, yeah, like
Physicality,
any,
yes,
no
for
matter
sure,
how beautiful someone is, there's always someone else that can be considered more beautiful.
of
But
course.
that's not usually why men cheat. Like
Why
that's
do
not usually the
why do men cheat?
men cheat for various reasons, right? And a lot of times it's not this person looked better. If it's something that shallow, they're usually serial cheaters who are just like they're just trying to get another and another. So that might drive them in that case of like it's just another pretty woman and they're trying to get as many pretty women as possible. In that case, yeah. But if it's not that type of behavior and not a serial cheater, it's usually other things like and it could be because they can. It could be because of the attention that they're getting from the other person. No matter what the reason is, it's on them if they cheat. It's on the individual if they cheat. But there are various reasons why somebody cheats. And usually it's not the number one reason is not like, oh, this person looked better than my partner. That's not usually could the person? Yeah, but is that usually the reason? Not usually, no.
I would say I agree with that. I remember I talk about this often, sitting in a conference live with Miles Monroe, the pastor, and his reference was, people not getting their needs met, and it's sometimes a cause for infidelity. Meaning, if your car needs gasoline and you go to the gas station and they don't have gas, what do? You go to another gas station. And sometimes it's almost a necessity. Like, my car needs gasoline, or so oftentimes I would say men, I guess women too, but if you're consistently not getting your needs met, it's still on you. It's not on the person. You're not given a pass to go cheat because they're not meeting your needs, but it does make you more vulnerable to
Makes you more vulnerable and more
yeah,
susceptible to it. But that, yeah,
for
that's
sure.
one. Even in the realm of needs, there are some needs that are not met by the partner, but sometimes the partner is meeting all the needs that they can meet. And it's a need that you have that doesn't even have anything to do with the partner, that is not something that you're going to get from another person. It's something that you need to deal with within yourself. Some that's a lot of the times why some people end up cheating. I'm not getting this and that happens. That's a reason. Like in the marriage or partnership, they're not getting the partnership needs met, like the needs that come within a partnership. But then there are also times where a person has a need, and it's not that the wife or partner is not doing all the things they're supposed to be doing, is that they're never going to fix or heal the actual issue with that person. So they have something deeper than within themselves that they need to address that doesn't really have to do with what their partner is not doing.
I just want to say on that particular topic, communication is very important when it comes to establishing said need early on, because I think of and I had this conversation with someone today. It's completely side note, but I'll tie it together. When my son was about 2, maybe 3, probably more like 2, he was still, you're still wearing pull-ups. So I think he was wearing pull-ups, but he had to use the bathroom and we're still using wipes. So I think I said, go upstairs and get the wipes. And he said, okay. So, 2-year-old goes upstairs, spends a couple of minutes, comes back down and says, Daddy, you said that the wipes, go upstairs to get the wipes in the bathroom, and they're not in the bathroom. Like, you lied to me. And, I looked at my wife and I'm like, well, Trevor, I didn't say they were in the bathroom. I said they were upstairs. They're usually in your room. So maybe I should have been more specific to the 2-year-old. But I said, Trevor, I didn't say they were in the bathroom. I said they were upstairs. But forget that. The bigger thing that happened in that, and it actually still stands to this day, is I had this conversation with him at 2. I said, Trevor, but more importantly, even though you were wrong, you just taught me that you understand the concept of lying. So again, even though you were wrong, just in your mind, what I said was true, you realized wasn't true. So you thought it was a lie. But at that point, and even now, my son is, 9 years old. It's just, we established at 2 or 3 years old that what a lie is. So you can't ever use the excuse or the excuse that you didn't know what a lie was, or you didn't know you were lying, or you didn't understand
You
that
know,
that
you were
was
being
not.
deceptive or
We set the
dishonest.
standard.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Deceptive or dishonest.
We set that standard there. So now, even all these years, and even now, and when he's 30 years old, we already established that we can never go back. And so I think one of the important things in my relationship, and I think in a lot of relationships, especially thinking of that Miles Monroe conference, is establishing what those needs are. So, because I don't, if you know what my needs are, I understand that, well, first of all, if you know the person's needs and you understand, again, our logic and emotion, they're not going to meet your needs all day, every day. We're human beings. We got a lot of things on our mind. People are just, stressed with other things. But early on, my wife knew exactly what I needed to feel loved in a relationship. And it has never changed in 13 years. I knew exactly what she needed, but we established that we had those hard conversations early on, like really difficult conversations, which I think some people might avoid early on, and then they end up getting screwed 5 years later because they never established what my son and I established in that moment. It's like, no, we said it now. Now we know this is what it is. Anything outside of that is, it's not inauthentic. It's out of integrity. Like the integrity is ruined because we know what the standard is. So I forgot how we got on that topic, but I wanted to share
I think
that
you're talking about, I think what this is my guess is that you're saying, like, if someone is cheating or not getting their needs met and they choose to go do that in some other form or fashion, you're not keeping the integrity of your relationship. Is that what you're talking about? Because we were talking about
that, and somewhere along the line in the beginning of that relationship, you didn't establish, or maybe it wasn't understood what your needs are. Because again, you got you have to know what your needs are. You have to know what you feel. Your love blueprint. You have to know what you need to
Oh,
feel like you're being loved and what happiness is for you. And then
okay.
you
So
have to express that to your partner.
you saying that just made me think of something. So what if you have a couple who earlier on, there's many needs. Sex is not one of them. And actually, just to be clear, somebody can end up cheating for not getting their needs met, and it's not a sexual need. But they end up having sex or some other need. But let's say you have a couple who earlier on, one person was like, these are my needs as far as like sexual needs, right? And the other person is like, oh, okay, yeah, I can do that, or that will happen more times or whatever, right? They're agreeing that they're going to meet a need as far as maybe like frequency of sex, and then they're married and some time down the line that need is never met. Like they're never as into sex as the other person. They never want to have it as much. Matter of fact, they'd rather go long periods without it. But earlier on, they were like, yeah, I can do that. And let's say that due to religion, they weren't really having sex before marriage. So there was no way to know the frequency that the person was going to be having.
That's a big one.
So what would you say? Like,
Oh no, I don't know what you were about to say next, but
oh no, I'm just saying if it's that type of situation where they were like, oh yeah, I can, sure, I'll be able to do that. And then when in real life with life, and they're like, yeah, no, I'm never going to be that sexual of a person.
I think we have a lot of topics in this one song. I because I'm thinking as you're talking, I'm thinking of more things. But there are some, and I'm sure there are guys too, but I'm thinking specifically of a couple of women that I know, even from college, that let's say they were very religious. So sex before marriage was just not a thing. And I always admire that. At the same time, in some cases, it almost feels like, and not just a sexual thing, it could just be the idea of them not being in many relationships. So let's not just leave it at a sex thing. It's just they're not used to relating with a guy because they haven't had a long-term relationship. And so they never really established what they want, or in your case, what you were just saying, how do they even know what the frequency should be, or what they would like about the frequency, or what the frequency they would like until they're married, and then they realize, like, wait a minute,
Actually
this is
experience.
too much. This is too much. And so yeah, I don't like everyone to be promiscuous, so to speak, but how else do you learn? Not how else, but it's a thin line, because you have to know about yourself, and then you have to know. I remember moving in, my wife and I, we started dating and we moved in together. And I remember her telling like an older family member how easy it was living with me. And I remember her saying, I didn't even notice. She was like, I think it's because he lived with another woman before. Now, she didn't live with another guy before, but just that little intricate detail of me living with another woman, it probably may have been better if she lived with another guy. And then now we both have this experience and understand how we relate with someone in our home all the time. But just me living with someone else, I remember my wife saying that was such an easy transition. And sometimes that lack of experience causes you to have good intentions going into a situation until you're in the situation, and you have all this good intention, but it falls by the wayside because you really didn't know that you didn't know what you didn't know.
So what would you tell that couple, that a couple that's they're in that situation where they thought their sex life was going to be a particular way? One has more need for sex than the other, and that's not changing the difference, the discrepancy.
I would say get you a side chick.
What?
I'm joking. I had to say that with a straight face too. Nah, that's difficult because I would like to say that someone has to budge, but if it's not authentic to you, it's only a matter of time before you start to feel like this is not really me. And I really think it's important to dive deep into why you're in that relationship, because your sole purpose in a relationship not sole purpose, but one of your top goals in a relationship is to make sure that person's needs are met. Like I know my wife, one of her needs is conversation. I think for a lot of women, it may be conversation, and men too. But so I realize that even though she sends me a text message and I look at the text message and I want to just hit her with the okay. Now I love this woman. This woman has my children. We gonna die together. I just want to say okay. Like, got it. But I recognize that do I want to be the guy that just says okay, and then now some other guy, I know my wife wouldn't do this, but some other guy is texting her now and he's got the full paragraph responses, and then now she feels loved, and then now she, because exactly what you just said, it doesn't, it didn't start off as sex, but they got another need met, and then it led to sex. That's exactly what you just said. So somebody has to, in that particular case, someone has to budge. Someone has to
I always say both people have to budge.
I'm gonna say it again.
I always say both people have to budge. Because
I would say that too. But here's the thing, and I agree with that actually. So I'm actually saying what you're saying. The only thing is, it's almost like when you post something online, you say, yeah, women need to do this, and then you got a bunch of women in the comment, yeah, but what about the guys? Like this post is about women. Like we'll talk about the guys later. Like stop bringing up the other person.
Particular gender, because
so in your case, what you just said,
both sides.
I think both people do have to budge. But if I'm talking to the couple, I'm talking to that guy or I'm talking to that woman and saying, listen, yes, y'all both have to budge, but you can't look at what they're doing. You have to forget about them. What do you do?
Focus on you budging. Yeah.
What do you do? You got to budge. Like don't expect them to do anything. But that's always hard because
that's hard actually, because I don't know if this was it might have been Shan Boodram that said this. But
who is it?
Somebody named Shan Boodram. She does different podcasts on relationships. She's got a degree in psychology as well, but I heard it before her, but I like the way she put it better. Which is basically like anything to do with sex. Somebody was asking about the frequency of sex, like what's an okay frequency? Of course, that's different for different people and couples, but basically she was like, whoever wants to do it least. And the reason for that is you don't ever want somebody having sex that they don't want to have. You don't ever want for your partner to be engaging in sex that they really don't want to have.
Yeah, that's
right. And so, which I wholeheartedly agree with. I'm like, yeah, no, you don't ever want to, so my focus is what would motivate you or interest you more, even if it's not to the level that, because a lot of times that disinterest is coming from somewhere, it might not ever be the expectation of the other partner or what their need is or with the frequency that they would like. But again, if you're already married, I would say you both have to compromise. That's why you should talk about those things beforehand, which they tried, but they didn't know, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm always curious as to what is the situation optimal for that? Like there might be things that are happening where it could be happening more, but it's not because of these other things.
Yeah.
So that's what I focus on with the person who is not as interested. And with the person who is so interested, I try to find out like what's going on, if it's just a sex drive thing, or if it's like sometimes a lot of guys like have sex I won't say that's just a guy thing, but I just see it more with guys. They use sex as a way to deal with their emotions and anxiety and other things. So if they're worried about something, like want to have sex, like they feel better if they can have sex. Yeah, like more, but so
that's like a long day. You know what would be good?
But for every
refreshing beverage, like it's a hot day.
And it's a hot day.
Some ice water would be good. Or some buns.
You're supposed to have your partner for support, but I think that can't be your only tool of relief in dealing with emotions. Sex can't be your only tool of dealing with how you feel. So then it's a focus of like, how else can you deal with certain emotions that are not really about you wanting to have sex, but you're trying to use sex to deal with how you feel? And so it brings it down, some of them dealing with those feelings in other ways, and then So it's not always like, oh, I'm uncomfortable about this, or I'm worried about that, or bills or this, so let me have sex so I can get off my mind. It's more like, okay, let me deal with why I'm anxious about this or why I'm depressed about this. And then sex is for other, you can use it for that sometimes, but when you like, when that's your only coping skill, it's not good. It's too much.
I guys watch this. I gotta speak for my men. And then we said this on a training that you and I did, or I said it. But you can't use logic and so I like to balance logic and emotion. Meaning, yes, I want sex all the time, but let's think about this. Let's not just have this feeling that I want to have sex. Like, it does. What is your woman doing for you? Like, is she working? Is she doing, like, you can't expect the world from this person. Yes,
Cleaning.
you can expect it, but at the same time, you have to, in your mind, dumb down your desire just to be fair to this person that is balancing everything else. Now, that doesn't mean that if she's a stay-at-home mom, she should be ready all the time. I don't mean it in that fashion. Or
Moms are still
I didn't mean stay-at-home mom. I meant you're
I
being
know
taken care of, like, type of thing. Like, she
yeah,
doesn't have children. I'm not saying that she's obligated, but at the same time, as a guy, it's like, yes, you can have a standard of what you want, but don't just have this feeling, because you'll make decisions based on that feeling that
yeah.
may eventually hurt you, because you may not feel that way all the time. So yes, you have to kind of find in your statement coping mechanisms if you're using sex as a way to relieve stress or to deal with anxiety and things of that nature. So there has to be some sort of balance. Here's the other thing for my guys, though. And one thing I always say to a woman who's experiencing that, she's on the other end of not wanting it as much as her husband. You can't force yourself to want it. But I always try to think of things like, what's the meaning for this? Like, why are we here? What am I trying to accomplish? What's my long-term goal? And oftentimes, and I forgot what the math was, but if you had sex like 4 times a week, or 4 times a week, let's say 20-minute intervals, that represents like 3% of your week. And it's like, I'm with this person and you're the only person I can have sex with, but yet I have to beg and claw and fight for something that I can only go to you for. So it's a tough balance. That's why you really need to establish what you guys want early on, because that's tough. That's such a tough thing to deal with. Because again, you can't force somebody to want it, because that's horrible. And then you can't force me to want it less. That's
Right.
horrible. Like,
Yeah.
if I want it less, so then you end up looking at Jolene, because you're not giving it to your man the way you want to. Your man wanted it all the time. You can't give it to him. So Jolene walked by, and in your mind, you thinking, "Oh man, Jolene might give it to him more than I'm giving it to him." So, but yes, that happens all the time though. Like, I can't tell you how many guys I know that are like, yeah, it's not happening as much as I want it to. But
Yeah.
I know a lot of mature guys that know how to deal with that, because they're
Right.
like, yeah, I want it 10 times, but I got it 4 times a week. All right, we cool. Like, yeah, you can't
at a certain age, you real cool, because it's a lot.
Say that again.
Especially depending on your age, 4 times in a week is real cool, depending on your age and what's going on or your responsibilities. But yes, it's an emotional intelligence thing. It's an emotional regulation thing. It's also, I think, like outside of your own desire, it's sometimes for the partner, like compersion thing, where it's like your happiness makes me happy. Meaning, like, I'm not suffering through sex. I didn't really want to have sex, but I know sex will make you happy and that will make me happy. So I'm okay.
Right. That's a beautiful place to be if you can get there.
Which is different than like, okay, like, I don't really want to do this, but if you want to, or feeling pressure to. Yeah.
That doesn't work.
Yeah. I think that's a different thing of, yeah, like, it's not what was on my mind. It's not the first thing I want. I don't have a desire right now, but if it's, and I think the other issue with that though is,
and you got to be good at it too, though.
The other, well, that's a whole other issue, but the issue,
I mean, she may, accommodate you because she knows that this makes him happy, but if you're bad at it, that's also gonna make it hard for her to accommodate you. So,
Oh, yes. Well, in a sense of accommodating. The other thing is like the older women get, and I even think some young women, they just don't say anything. We need more to get excited when weren't in the mood, and you're already in the mood. And it's like some people don't, some men don't take the time to do that part because they're already ready. It's like, but I'm not ready. I was just sitting here, I'm reading. I'm doing like, whatever. I wasn't thinking about you or sex.
sunny outside. Let's do it.
Or I'm tired. I was about to go to sleep and I don't feel any arousal right now. So it's just like, yeah, on top of that, of like, yeah, but if it makes you happy, like, yes, I'm definitely willing to. It's like, but you have to get them to the point of being interested, like for them not to be interested, but still willing to have sex with you. And then you're not even getting them to the point of interest. Is like, okay. Like,
What we doing here?
yeah.
No, but listen, like to kind of, I know we kind of, there's a lot of different topics that we
Yeah,
can
but going back to
derive
the
from here.
thing,
But
the
no,
other
but I mean, listen, the fact that Dolly Parton is talking about this woman that she's afraid will take her man, Beyonce is talking to a woman threatening her, don't try to take my man. I think a lot of people, we kind of got into this whole conversation of needs and why would someone feel that they have to threaten this person? And, you know, sometimes you may feel insecure that you're not meeting your partner's needs. Because if I'm meeting my wife's needs, there's still maybe an insecurity. I think that's, you know, there's probably a healthy level of jealousy. You know, you don't want to be overly jealous, but yeah, like I know I'm doing my thing. I'm like, listen, she can go in a room. What if Fabulous had a song? I forgot what he said. Something about my girl doesn't let the sun in. She keep the blinds closed. Meaning, like my wife, you could shine all you want out there. My wife keep the blinds closed. I'm not chasing behind her, looking through her phone and all that. I know what I do.
Mhm.
And if somebody wants to go out and do something after knowing what I do, then that's on them. But
Mhm.
you know, but I'm not saying that Beyonce doesn't feel like she's doing her thing, but that
Right.
could be a reason why somebody would feel threatened by a Jolene. And don't get
But
me wrong, if some, you know, I don't know who's the I don't know who the guy heartthrobs are. I don't really pay attention. But if I know Boris Kodjoe used to be like talked about a lot, but I
yes,
don't know
and the fact
whoever
that
it is.
he's so good with his wife makes him even more handsome, like makes him more attractive.
No, but I'm saying if some dude walks in that you know might be a threat, that's the reason why I feel like you got to be really in tune with your spouse. Like you have to make sure that you're meeting their needs. Like you meet their needs now so that you don't have to worry about someone else coming in. Like I know you were saying that some people don't just cheat for sex, and if they do, then you know there's a problem there because you know just because they're prettier, like that there's got to be more than that. Because if that's the case, then you're like you said, they're a serial cheater. But yeah, like if you gotta be and you have to establish this conversation very early on. But yeah, you got to make sure that you're meeting your partner's needs. Like I answer text messages different for that purpose. Like I
Because you
already
know,
know what it's like. Oh, sorry, I got a text message. I know what it's like. I've experienced that on both sides, and I'm appreciative of that because it allows me to know that you know I have to be on top of my game. Like I have to be like, and there's no threat of it. There's no one's threatening me. Like if you don't do this, I'm going to cheat. I don't feel that at all. I just know from experience that you know if somebody doesn't get their needs met, they may not go out and cheat, but they're mentally cheating. Like they're not here with me. They're not locked in with me because I'm just neglecting something that they're asking for. And they told me that they needed that when we first started dating. So how am I now going to back out of it? But I'm sorry, going back to this conversation of like the religious person who didn't have sex before marriage or doesn't have that many relationships. How did and then like you said, they get into that relationship and realize that, yeah, I promised this thing, but I don't know if I really want that. You asked me, what do you say to that couple? Because that's a tough place to be. Like you don't
well,
have you didn't know, so it's not like they did it on purpose. Like I promised this on purpose because I was just trying to lure you in. No, they just didn't know what they wanted or know what they could do because they haven't had the experience of doing to do that.
you're saying, what do I say?
Yeah, what would you say to
I
that
already
couple that
told you.
that's
I
that
tell well, anytime I have a couple that they have a discrepancy about anything value wise, that's like core values of a relationship, which sexual beliefs, interests are core values, right?
Yeah.
That's what our core values. I say that in order to be together, both people have to be willing to compromise. You're not, so meaning both people have to change their expectation, because it's unlikely that one is going to come all the way over to this, and it's unlikely the other one is going to go. So then I focus on what will help those people be able to compromise. That's why I was saying I focus, if the person who wants more, I'll try to focus on what's happening there. Is it just purely they're having a desire more? And even if you're having a desire more, it's the same thing as somebody who likes to eat a lot. You just can't eat all the time when you want to eat, when you like to eat a lot. You have to sometimes control your impulses. You have to sometimes regulate your feelings. So even if it's just that, even if it's not to relieve anxiety, but they just have a higher sex drive, it's not about anything else, right? You still need to learn how to temper. Just because you have an impulse for something doesn't mean you should be doing it all the time, every time that you have an impulse. So I try to focus on, one, what will help the person who's having sex less? What's the reason for that? Is it the drive? Is it something biological? Is it something happening environmental? Is it something happening in their relationship that makes them less interested? Then we try to work on that with them. For the person who wants it more, try to work on, like, is it their drive? Is it coping skill? And then changing that expectation and trying to meet their partners so that their sexual experiences are more quality than quantity, but that may be happening a little bit more frequently, not as maybe as frequent as they want, so that both people are enjoying it and wanting to do it, versus like, this is what I want and this is what I want, and it's very different. And I think you just got to be understanding that even somebody that says yes and is doing that at a particular time, at a later time, that could change. Like, we could say yes to something, but even if we were capable of doing it in not sex, but anything, right? If I say yes, I can meet that value, I can do that. And then later on, something happens where I can't anymore. At that point in time, we either have to reconfigure, we have to change our expectations or the way we're going about things, or we're going to end up going separate ways, because people, their beliefs change and they don't always change together at the same time. So is your relationship strong enough that say, I don't want to do what you want to do anymore? Maybe, again, might not be sexually, it could be something to do with business or something else. And I'm not where you are, or you're not where I am. Am I like, oh, you're not meeting my, So I also say, like, give it time, because sometimes somebody's not on your page for something that they once were on, but you grow. You don't always behave the same with everything throughout your relationship. Sometimes stuff, like, I'm sure even though you are conscious and you try to engage Zeta, I'm sure you were engaging her a whole lot more when you were courting, right? Like, or when it's new, we are doing a whole lot more things very different than the same pace that we keep for how many years?
13.
13 years. You're not going to keep the same pace, right?
No,
But
not with kids.
right, not with kids, not with 13 years, even if you didn't have kids, but definitely with kids, even if you didn't have kids, the pace of some things is going to change. That is just happens. So I think, I focus on those things with couples and see if they can compromise. And if ultimately they can't, then their relationship continues to deteriorate.
Ooh, in my head, I said deteriorate. You said it. You heard it. That was the word I thought you were going to use.
What you said of, like, if they're meeting all the needs, then people won't cheat. One thing I will say about people, right? You could be doing everything that you can for your relationship. Sometimes it's just curiosity, but you don't want to act on it. I'm saying in the sense of, sometimes it might not be about an insecurity that you're not doing your part in a relationship, or even that your partner is a cheater or would cheat. But as human beings, sometimes we do get a curiosity. Sometimes there is an attraction to someone that you would never act on because you're like, we are not blind once we become in love with someone or married. We just don't act on, we don't engage, we don't put energy to certain feelings. We might be like, oh, that person is handsome or attractive, but we don't give it energy, right? So it could be a day, all day, where your relationship is going well. Your partner's doing their part, you're doing your part, but you have some kind of curiosity or attraction. I would say in that instance, if I don't know, like if you're trying to entice my husband, even if I felt like I was doing everything that I was supposed to be doing, I'm just not going to like the disrespect of you knowing it's my husband and you still trying to entice him. Like, meaning even if he's saying no, he's not interested, and you're trying knowing that it's my husband, I might say, like, I might be like, keep it up. Like, that's like, because even if they won't act on it, why are you disrespecting me? Like, that's how I feel. Like, you are trying me. That's how I would feel.
No, I understand that. Sorry. I think people lack creativity too, because even in the case where you're talking to the couple and you're telling them, different ways to, get better at or decrease their desire, whatever. You got to be creative in the approach to doing that. Like, you can't, if you're the one that's trying to engage, let's just say sexually, or engage in more conversation, even with my text messages, you can't just do the bare minimum, because you can almost feel when someone's just doing it because you told them to do it.
Like, oh yeah, I know you like
it's just a little advice. You got to be creative in how you deliver the advice that was just given. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of times people are just, it's like a checklist. It's like, all right, he said he wanted to have sex more today, so it's like, he doesn't want to have sex with a corpse. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or hey, I want him to be more present at, and he just shows up and he's not really engaged in the activities that's happening at that event that you want. Like, you gotta be, again, it goes back to, what's your why for this relationship? Like, is this the relationship? Like, have you established in your mind and with them that this is where you're going to be? If that's the case, then you're not going to show up 100% all the time, like you said, because it's impossible. There's just too much going on and you've been together too long. But yeah, you got to show that this is a priority to me. Yes, I'm not, I don't nail it every time. And because you understand I'm not nailing it every time, you at least know that I'm making it a priority and you see my energy and my effort. So there's a sense of gratitude and there's a sense of peace in knowing that, they're not slacking. Like, they're trying. They haven't reached the bar that I wish they were at, but this is the person I'm gonna be with. Like, I'm not about to hold them to this super unrealistic standard. Like, I love this person.
They are, and sometimes they're not. Like, sometimes they are meeting the bar, and then other times it's like, oh, it's not as much as it was at this time, but that happens, and it'll be more at another time if it's on their radar to do. Like, if they're keeping it in mind that it always has to be a priority shift depending on what's going on, right? Doesn't mean that it's not a priority, but maybe it shifted down some based on some life event or something like that. But when things are settled, it goes back up again of like, oh, okay, we back on track. So that happens too, but it's knowing, like, I know this person tries to keep this in their awareness. So if they're not doing it as much, there's a reason why they're not doing it. To not be like, you're not doing, XYZ, because they already, if you're communicating, you're with each other, you probably already know why it's not happening as much when you have a partner that does prioritize you, that does typically treat you a particular way. So it's also that understanding and knowing each other. As far as people, I would say for women, statistically speaking, most times when they're less interested in sex, it's married women and women with kids, especially women with kids. A lot of times where they're like, I'm tired, I don't know. They're not getting enough help with the household stuff or with the kids. They have the majority of that stuff. And I know people, women too, who would rather go to work, like work a job, than be a stay-at-home mom.
No, it's a lot.
Too much work, right? Because they're on the clock 24.
And that time go by fast too.
Right. And so they're wiped out and burnt out because they're doing so much. And so usually if the husband can help out more, they're not as tired. And they also appreciate that you're listening to me tell you, like, hey, I need help with this, instead of thinking your role is just to provide or just to spend a little time with the kids, but you're trying to take the equal amount of responsibility also with the kids. Like, that's usually the reason why. Men already have a higher sex drive because of the hormones that men are higher in, like testosterone and androgen. They're already going to be most like stereotypically or generically, they have more interest in sex and drive for sex. That's already the case. So they're going to typically want it more than women do, right?
Just a little bit.
You have some outliers of women who they want it just as much as men or more. But
I have to say this because, and I know we gotta wrap it up soon,
Yeah.
but on what you just said, this is kind of a joke I heard from someone, but I want to hear if you feel there's any truth in this. The gentleman said that the women who say, oh well, women want sex just as much as men. His statement was, the women that say that are probably not married, because if you're single and you like live alone and you can kind of pick and choose when you want to have sex, right? It's like,
and who
yeah, you
with
can make that statement like, yeah, we want it just as much as you. But if you got a guy up under you all the damn time and he want it all the time, it's different. So his statement was, most of the women that say that women want sex just as much as men, they're probably not married to a man that's up under them, really putting that pressure of wanting to have sex all the time as a man.
It might be some
What do you
outliers
say about
that even when they're married, they want it more. But for the most part, yes, that's true. And
Okay.
yes, for single, and it's the same thing for women. Sometimes it's not even, that's very specific of like women want it just as much as men. Yeah, maybe some do. And maybe it has to do with their relationship status. That's very likely. The other thing I would say that's not specifically, it's outside of just wanting sex as much as men. It's that sometimes women that are single, they're not getting that physical affection or closeness or intimacy. So sex is a way to get that also. It's not, like you're not having someone cuddle with you at night. You're not having someone do things with you or whatever, or that oxytocin that you get from being hugged or whatever else. So you get that the surges of that when you have sex. So that's another reason sometimes where single women will be interested in sex when they don't have a partner, is because in addition to sex, you're getting hugged on, kissed on, you're getting, maybe verbal affection and all the stuff that if you have a long-term partner, you're getting that at times without sex.
Right. I like that. I got one more thing, and we could go whichever direction you want. On the topic of sex, I know this wasn't necessarily a sex conversation.
Yeah,
but
we're talking about meat.
we talk about Jolene, but so in her this to gauge, generally speaking, let's say men like want sex more than women. Let's say you put a guy in a room full of 100. I think I said this to you before. You put a guy in a room full of 100 women, and all different types of women, mostly beautiful, let's just say. And you told him all these women are available to you over the next year. You can have sex with any and every one of them if you want to. They're disease free, whatever. How many, on average, do you think? How many women would the average man choose to have sex with? Not knowing anything about them, right? Like that, there's just no diseases. They're just available. They're ready for you. How many women do you think men would choose in that scenario?
That's hard to say because I think it depends on age. I think it depends on who they are as a person and like, how they see sexual relationships with women. And I also think that a lot of times, I think there are men that have the drive and experience where they could have sex with a lot of women close together in time because they've been conditioning for it, meaning they have a lifestyle in which they've been engaging in that way. I think men who don't get the opportunity, or not say get the opportunity, but don't behave in that manner, I think they can do way more than they would actually be able to do in that situation. Like, I think like, I'll take down, and they're not going to last long enough to be taken down more than
regardless of what they actually do, like
like
let's say a 29-year-old guy, like
9-year-old guy.
29, single, makes $150,000. This ain't about money either. It's just they want you.
The average man, because of the way society conditions men, like if he doesn't have like self-awareness and discipline, I think he's going to try to go with the impulse, which is like maybe to sleep with as many as possible.
Give me a number.
I don't know. I don't know the number.
20.
Huh?
20.
I mean, how long are they going to be there? Like if it's, I don't know.
He has a year. He has a year to cash in on these coupons, so he can run through all 100 if he wanted.
I'm tired before he even gets to 20 and be like, all right, this is boring.
Let me ask you. Now, you put a woman in a room with 150 men, and you say, "Hey, listen, no strings attached. You can have sex with any of these men. On average, how many men would the average woman choose?" And you may not have a number, but I'm sure you would agree that the average man would choose a lot more than the average woman. The average woman would probably want to break down, well, what is he like? What's his character? No.
First of all, unless they're all, well, we have a natural drive too, right? Men are going to choose more average. If you compare men and women gender wise, the man is likely to choose more than women are, but also we have a natural drive towards men we find attractive. So, but like a man got to be like really super fine to you to be like, I want to sleep with this man that I do not know anything about, right?
You have no, right.
Meaning he hasn't opened his mouth. You're just looking at him. Right. And he hasn't said anything that make you be like,
you don't know nothing about him.
No. So you can project whatever you want onto this man. Right. But once even in that, like, even if they are your ideal, like the way that they look, once they start talking, or once you start finding out certain stuff about them, that number is likely going to go down. But the other reason also is like when you think about sex, just as the physical, I don't think it's just a physical act, but if you just want to think about the physicality of sex, it's easier for men to climax than for women, as far as men that don't know the mechanics of a woman's body, or women that don't know their own bodies. So men are likely to get more. That does suck for them. Men are likely to get more pleasure out of sleeping with random women that they don't know their skill set sexually or experience than women are to
like that.
They have no idea what this person, they could be. They could climax before you even do anything. They could climax immediately. It's not now what I didn't waste it. Like what? Then for us, it's like, what was the point?
Here?
You enjoyed that, but I didn't. So we would want to know. We would want to know more about them, other than, oh, they're attractive. They've been tested, and we would probably want to know more, because just the act of sex by itself, it depends on that person's skill set, whether we're going to be pleased by that experience or not.
Now, I will say this. I always use that example. It's super general, but it's just to kind of combat some people that say the average woman wants sex as much as men. I'm like, just the physical act of it. I'm like, I don't know about that. Now I will say this, and I'm kind of proud to hear this. I know a couple of guys in their 30s who are not like the average guy that I just mentioned. Like if I gave them that same scenario, they're like, nah, I'm not sleeping with I don't know her. And I'm like, wow, like I like the fact that you're at that space where you're not that desperate, but not even desperate. It's just you're not, whether you had enough or have options, you don't need to be in that space where it's like, yo, I'll just
put yourself in that situation. Yeah.
In that situation. But generally speaking, like men are gonna just, without knowing anything about it, like that, I would say the average guy is gonna choose, maybe 30 or more from that list. And the average woman is not going to get to the number 30 and just say, yeah, I'll sleep with 30 guys I don't know just because they're fine and they're disease free. Right. So, I think the whole conversation of sex with men and women is a tough conversation, because
we have differences for sure that we have to respect and acknowledge. And that's okay to have differences. We don't have to be exactly like men, and men don't have to be exactly like, I feel like whoever people believe created us, or how we got here, whether they believe it's through science, through God, whatever you believe, I feel like those differences are intentional. I feel like if women we're the same biologically, hormonally, like with testosterone and androgen, that drive that's connected to sexual drive. I think there will be, you think we overpopulated now, we will be so overpopulated if that we're already overpopulated. It'll be worse if
it'll be worse if
drive
human beings were like dogs or animals. Like if women could have multiple babies per childbirth.
Some women do. My cousin had twins.
Oh no, my cousin just had twins, but I'm talking about like a litter. Like if
No,
you could have
like 4 or 5, 3, like
no, we'd be screwed. Like that would, God knew not to do that, or the universe knew not to do that. Like nah.
Yeah, whatever each person believes, but yes, I think that difference is intentional and that difference is okay. I think the whole we like sex as much as guys. I think even if it's not talking about frequency, I think sometimes what people are trying to communicate that are not exactly trying to communicate that is that there's this belief about how much women enjoy sex. We do enjoy sex. It's just
for sure.
Yeah, and I think that this concept that like it's not really that important to us, or that it's not something. Yeah, like it's very much so important to us. We very much so enjoy it. So I think that's more the focus is like we like sex just as much, not frequency, but enjoyment.
I think, and get back to the whole Jolene and understanding needs, and again, it may not necessarily be that, because you kind of explain how that it may not be someone not getting needs, but it's just just this person is disrespecting and
right,
just trying to tempt your husband.
Say something else.
It may not be about that. But I think it's very important to establish, like I said with my son, it's very important to establish where we are. Like, what exactly are we here for? What do you need? I'm committed to meeting this need. And once you get to that point, it's so easy to not have to worry about all the other things. Now, the disrespect, I agree with you on that one. You're not really approaching this Jolene because you're insecure. It's more so like, this has nothing to do with your husband at this point. It's like, yo, you talking to me. Like you're not even talking to him at this point. The fact that you're going above and beyond, now you're talking to me. Like, let's get it in.
I don't know if I ever told you this. I feel like I may have, but just reminded me of something. When I was in high school, or even like I had my first real boyfriend, he was a serial cheater. And then I had a boyfriend after him that was not very like wholesome, nice guy. And one of my good friends was one of the people that my first boyfriend cheated on me with. So my first boyfriend cheated on me with a friend. He did that with multiple friends.
Never experienced anything like that.
Yeah, I hope you don't ever experience anything. No, I know.
You forgot my book.
I meant multiple, but yeah. Oh yeah, no, okay. Yes, I did read your book, but
that was horrible.
Multiple friends. Sometimes he was having a good time. Sometimes we'll be in a threesome with 2 of the friends at the same time. So he was enjoying himself. But my second boyfriend wasn't like that at all.
High school, you said?
High school. My second boyfriend was not on, he was not on that time. And he used to come pick me up and walking to come walk me to class from a class that I still had with that same friend. The friend that my ex-boyfriend cheated on me. And I was in the class still doing something, getting my books or doing whatever. And I walk out the classroom to go meet him. And I see, how people, that thing where you grab somebody's hand and you do that. Okay. So I see he's standing up against the wall like he typically is when he's waiting for me because I'm slow. And I see her he's sitting with his hand like towards him. I see her take his arm, pull his hand and do this like to his hand. He didn't know what was going on. He didn't know what the reason was.
What was the reason?
I'm
trying to get at you?
No, I don't know what her reason for moving. Well, that's interesting that you say that. When I say he didn't know the reason, I was about to say he didn't know the reason for what I was getting ready to do to her.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah, but when you say that, the boyfriend...
Wait, say that again?
I was going to say he didn't know the reason because I was getting ready to say what I did to her, that he was like, what is going on? But your question, the boyfriend that she cheated with later told me that I did have something to do with it, that her and the other friend of mine that he had a threesome with was like, we'll do X, Y, and Z, just don't be with Jasmine, which is a weird thing to do to your friend. So it did have something to do with some kind of focus on me. So she did this. She grabs his hand as I'm coming around the corner. I didn't think about it. It was like, I guess, primitive, where she was little too. She was petite. And I've always been tall. And I just straight picked her up by her shirt or whatever she had on, and like up against the wall, like.
So you let it happen one time. You wouldn't gonna let it happen to the next one. Like, all right. So that's why you like this song.
Type of person. I'm just thinking about this. I wasn't thinking about this when I was listening to this song. He wasn't the type of person to cheat, so I wasn't concerned that he was going to do something. It was like, are you like?
So this song describes that shit perfectly. Like,
yes, and I
it really does. Like, you didn't have a fear of
him cheating,
necessarily taking him or him necessarily going with her, but
it was the disrespect.
It was the disrespect. Yeah, yes. You relate to it. I said, okay.
Disrespect of like, you really are trying me. And I was like, let me see you touch him again. Let me see you talk to him again. Like, watch what's going to happen to you. I'm not like that.
Did you pick her up? Did she get airborne when you picked her up?
I didn't pick her up. I kind of swung her off her feet into the wall. So it wasn't like I lifted her.
What did she do? What did she do after that? She just took the whiplash. Like,
she left him alone. No, she wasn't a fighter. She left him. She was not a fighter. She left him alone after that. And
what she looked like now? She fell off, didn't she?
Pretty girl. No, I don't know what she looks like now. She was a pretty girl in high school. The wild. This is just my life when I was
girls like that be falling off. They be blowing up by the time they 35, 40, and you get to laugh at them.
I don't know what she looks like, but she was a petite girl, like fast metabolism. I would imagine she still looks fine. But you know what's funny? What's crazy is that she did never know her boyfriend tried to get with me while they were together. This is before I found out what she did. And again, he tried afterwards, but I'm not that type of person. So I wasn't like interested, but that was funny to me. Like, he didn't know what she did. He was just trying to try. Yes. And I remember that too. Like, her boyfriend played basketball at the time. We were at one of their games, and then he came somewhere else. And like, I was in a hallway or something by myself, and he approached me, and I was just like, what? Like, I was so insulted. Like, what? That's like, that's my friend. If you don't get out of my face, but she is a different type of person. So I don't know what kind of person she is now. We're not friends. But yeah, that was kind of crazy. And yes, I did.
You're gonna have to Facebook dive. You're gonna have to show me what she looked like. I'm just curious now. I want to see what Jolene looked like. Because I told you I wanted to see what Jolene looked like. I need a video.
She was taking people's men back in the day. I think that girl was like, she might have been.
See what Jolene looked like. I told you at the beginning of this call, I wanted to see what Jolene looked like. Now I got a Jolene. So we got to go. You remember her first and last name, right?
Yeah, of course. We were friends.
Right. I'm not really a gossiper like that, but I do want to see what you look like. I want to see what Jolene looked like.
I do remember my friends' names that he slept with. I can't remember all the girls that he was.
No, I'm serious. I want to see what Jolene looked like. We're gonna call her Jolene.
I'll try to find Jo. I'm sure she's still a pretty girl.
No. I'm betting that she's not. We could make a little piggy bet.
I do know girls that acted up in school and younger that didn't really take care of themselves growing up. But I feel like there's certain, I don't know, there were certain girls that I feel like they have fast metabolism. They always been very like skinny and petite, and they're still that way. Like, they're still that way. Like, my sister is like that. She's just thin for no reason. She's not working out. She's not trying to be thin. She's just thin for no reason. It's just genetic. Yeah, I think she should still be a cutie pie. I think she would be still.
Oh, look at you taking the high road.
I'm just saying.
Don't listen to me. I'm instigating. Don't listen to me.
Because I don't care. I don't want that man. That's all. Like, whatever. I
I
don't
just
care.
want to see what Jolene looked like. I told you I want to put a face to the name. Like
It's,
now I'm interested in Jolene.
any
That you got me listening to the
Jolene
song.
is, I guess, any attractive woman that's after somebody's man.
Is there any Jolene's? I don't know. Maybe my wife give off a certain vibe because I don't got no Jolene's hitting me up, and I'm not the ugliest person in the world, so I don't know. Maybe she just give off a vibe that I'll f you up. I
You
don't
might
know.
be behaving yourself and acting like someone, like you're supposed to be acting, and she might also be giving up the vibe of like, don't come over here with that.
Yeah, she's strapped. Don't play.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what the others we could talk about that another time if we get around to it.
No, for
Um,
sure. No, we gonna make time. Like whether tomorrow, Sunday, whatever. Like I enjoy this. Like we can make time because it in choosing a song, this kind of especially in this one, there's so many little points to reference and speak about. Like everybody doesn't go through the same things at the same time, but I'm sure there's people who have dealt with something like a Jolene or have dealt with this conversation about needs and the imbalance of those needs and how to deal with them. So I appreciated this particular conversation on Jolene, and I thought it was very interesting that Dolly Parton's version was different than Beyonce, because when you first had me read the song, I'm reading the lyrics and I'm like, oh wow, like there's some bad girl trying to say, and then you said Beyonce was the opposite. I'm like, oh, now it's really coming together because you
right.
definitely got the Beyonce vibe.
I definitely
So
I'm not hitting nobody up because I got too much to lose, but I would definitely threaten you. And speaking of that, in her album, like I said, there's themes. That is a theme. She threatens to shoot. She said, I don't like the way she's looking at you, about to turn around and John Wayne her ass on another song. Another, like, it's a theme throughout the song where she's like, don't leave my man alone. And that's what I'm saying. I think it's interesting that this was actually the album that was made after Lemonade and not Renaissance. Renaissance was made after this album. There's a theme in the other songs of like, I leave my man alone. Don't come over
You're
here.
very Beyonce-ish. I didn't notice about you. I think I learned a little bit more about you today. I think I learned a little bit more about you today. Yeah, I know you put the pause on somebody. I didn't know.
I've had a lot of growing to do. Like when I told you last time we talked, I said I had an issue where I had a violent streak where I could be aggressive, and you were like, "Well, was it warranted?" And that's what I meant about like, yeah, it was warranted, but I still wanted to get myself under control, like not react.
That's warranted. I got that. You
Yeah,
ain't crazy for that one.
definitely.
No,
I was a teenager. I wouldn't do that as an adult. But I definitely had a temper, or and I want to say I have a temper. I had an aggressiveness about feeling disrespected or violated. It didn't really come out for anything else.
I agree. I would say that. And I'm not mad at that, because if nobody's disrespecting you, you're not about to hem them up against the wall.
Unless I'm protecting somebody, like unless you're trying to physically harm someone, yeah, that's another reason why I would be violent. But outside of those two things, I'm not violent, and I'm not violent for the first reason now, like at this age and yeah. But yes,
you're more Dolly Parton now.
No, I'm not begging you. No, I'm not. That's not.
So the name of that song is Jolene, right? That was the name of it?
That's Jolene. And then there's other songs where the song is not about that, but there's a reference just within the song about like, leave my man alone. Like, I don't like the way you looking at my man. I don't, and then like I said, she has other themes. She's like, super lover girl. She has other songs. The other song I would tell you to listen to is Alligator Tears. Listen to Levi's Jeans. And then listen to Alligator Tears. I really like Alligator Tears.
Those are the next two?
Yeah, I told you to listen to Levi's Jeans before. So that was
I saw the lyrics on here, but we can do that the next video for sure.
Yeah, and then another song that I like a lot of songs on there, but the other song I think that would be good to talk about is called Alligator Tears.
Okay, we got this. I got one last question for you. Why you ain't punch it though? Why you just hammer up though?
Because it wasn't. It wasn't. It was. If you do it again, I'm going to. It was a warning. The slamming.
So you got hands, or you were just hammering her up because you don't have hands?
I had hands. I haven't fought in a long time. I definitely had. I don't want to get up here and lie and be like, oh, no, because I've matured and I'm a therapist. I don't want to sit here and act like I don't have a past. I definitely had hands. Me and my sister were definitely known to have hands. And people that didn't know, then they would know and be like, okay, yeah, don't try Jay and do not try Jasmine, and definitely don't try them together. So yeah, like I definitely had hands, and it was, I think it shocked a lot of people. I think a lot of people that saw my demeanor or maybe the way I looked didn't expect me to be a fighter, but I definitely was a fighter. Like growing up, from the time I was little, my grandfather, my nickname as a little kid, when I'm talking about like 5, 6 years old, 7 years old, was Mike Tyson. My grandfather would be like, Mike Tyson over there.
You retired now, though. You retired now. You don't put the gloves away.
I don't put my hands on people. I'm calling the police. Oh, you put your hands on. Unless I need to physically act to defend myself or somebody else, like you're in the moment trying to attack, I don't put my hands on people, but I definitely have a past where I had hands and I was impressive.
That was good. I like this.
All right. Enjoy your weekend.
Yes. Well, I mean, if I'm free tomorrow, but I'll text you. We'll see. If not, it's no big deal. But I don't want to be gone too long.
Okay.